Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Before I get started, I just want to say that these products were partially provided by Maxpeedingrods. However, everything you're going to see in this video, it's my own opinion. I have no contract with Maxpeedingrods to say whatever. I can say whatever I want to say, pretty much. So I've had the lower brand of Maxpeedingrods for the last couple of years. I've done a lot of daily driving, probably like 10, 12,000 miles on them. It's just the lower end model with the adjustable dampening up top, the 24-way. I think they're like 220 bucks. Like I said, I've had them for like a year and they've done really good. I would totally recommend someone use them if they're like me and they needed just like replacements for your stock ones and want to go a little bit lower. However, now I have the opportunity to upgrade. These are the Maxpeedingrod T7 coilovers. From what I understand, they're very similar to these ones. However, they have just better, higher quality all around. And most notably, these are 3K stiffer springs. So in the front, these are 11K, whereas the factory are 8K, I believe. And then in the rear, they're 3,000 more stiff. So these ones they're kind of not made for the EF chassis. However, they do work. And what I mean by that is I was expecting these to be really stiff because that's usually what people say on the internet before I bought them, so I thought. But I think because of this chassis weighs so much less than other chassis, they're a lot more bouncy than people say online. So these ones being stiffer, I'm very excited for that. So these T7s come in a box very similar to all the other Maxpeedingrod coilovers. The finish on these ones is much nicer. They're powder coated on the bottom, these collars here. You can see Maxpeedingrod T7s. It's like a matte finish. These collars look really good, where the spanner wrenches go to adjust them. And then on top, you can see left to go softer, right to do harder. Of course, we're gonna max them out. So that's what we're all about here. And this guy is a front, so if you have any other chassis besides an EF, they come with a little collar down here on the bottom so that it fits the little fork for the knuckle. And then likewise, these ones have the little adjuster on top, and then hardware. As you can see in there, there's also a pillow ball. So as opposed to the other coilovers that I currently have on the car, which again, they're just the lower tier ones. You're not gonna be able to see it, but there's actually just like a rubber bushing, but these ones are a pillow ball, so that's gonna make it a little bit nicer, a little bit more free moving on the front side of the suspension, and the rear just have the normal rubber bushing still. Additionally, inside the box, you get some hardware. Like I said, these little collars, these are used for your factory strut forks on your EG, DC, EK, I'm pretty sure. And these guys are for the brake lines, which we'll see when we install them for the front. And there's some washers in there that I used on the back on the last time I did this, but I think you can kind of use them wherever you want. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get started on the front. It's really easy, and it's actually a little bit easier because I already have coilovers installed. If you have factory ones, you might need a spring compressor or drop your lower control arms. But for me, I'm just gonna take out this bottom, the fork bolt, and then the brake line there, and then these two guys on the top, and the coilover will come right out. So I take that back. I'm not gonna get started quite yet. I'm gonna make sure all of the coilovers have the same amount of preload. So according to Maxpeedingrod's website, every coilover, every spring should have 7 to 10 millimeters of preload. And what that means is how much the spring is compressed when there's no load on the shock. So it's just adjusting these guys, adding 7 to 10 millimeters more than just, you gotta snug it up 7 to 10 millimeters more than just resting the collar on the spring. So I'm really glad I decided to do this because they were not tight. So this bottom collar here, this bottom perch, was not tight when I got it. So I'm not sure that they did set factory preload. If not, they needed to be tightened anyways. So I'm just gonna demonstrate what I'm doing here. So you can see now everything's loose, the spring moves. I'm gonna lower this upper, the one closer to the spring, I'm gonna lower that onto the spring. Just make it finger snug. Not super crazy, just until it gets hard to turn, okay? So I'm gonna bring this upper perch down onto it like that. And then I'm gonna tighten this lower one 7 to 10 millimeters further down, and then suck this one down. So then we have the appropriate amount of preload. Okay, this driver's side one is actually being incredibly hard to move. Like there's too much preload, but then this was also finger tight. So I'm actually gonna install it on the car to give me a little bit more leverage when turning this collar. I'm not exactly sure what you're gonna be able to see, but this bolt right here on the bottom of the fork, on the guy's gonna be a 17, you're gonna hold both sides. I actually don't have any brake hardware because I have stainless steel brake lines, so that's not a problem. And then there's two 14s on the very top where it mounts to the strut, and that's literally all it takes to get these things out of here. Okay, so that's everything I needed to take out down here. And then like I said, up here, factory bolts are a 14. I would keep these around. I would use these instead of the hardware they provide you. Because there's a little washer there, it kind of saves your engine bay paint from any from getting ripped off. Just like that, they're falling out. I think I'm actually gonna have to take this off too, because I'm not getting that over the axle. Do this part when the shock is still bolted into the car. It'll make your life a little bit easier. Okay, so I'd recommend taking this out of the way, and then you can actually take your strut out. All right, just like that. We have our old coilover out. Held up decently over the last year, honestly. Obviously there's a little bit of rust. I live where there's snow. All things considered, not bad. I don't think it's blown. Okay, so I'm not so sure if you guys are gonna be able to see that, but the T7s actually go lower. I'm not sure how best to describe that. So the actual overall body of the coilover is less on the T7, and the spring is a lot smaller. So you see these are lined up, but then over here, we got another 1/2 inch on this side, so I'm not gonna go quite that low. It's a little low. I would go a little bit lower than I currently am sitting though. And we're back down here. I don't remember which way this goes. It's pretty painless, surprisingly. That is one of the front coilovers installed. Like I said, like I was expecting, thankfully that was very painless. Probably because I already had Maxpeedingrods coilovers installed, so it's a direct swap, but it shouldn't be that much harder if you're swapping factory suspension or other coilovers. So I'm gonna do the other side, and then I'll catch you guys when I'm working on the back. All right, just a quick note before I move on to the back. I talked about earlier how I was just gonna match the shock length to the new shock length. Well, don't do that. I think these ones, because the springs are softer, I'm not sure if the shock must be different somehow. These ones settle a lot more than the new ones do. So when I had adjusted it to what I thought was the same as before, it was like 1 inch too tall. So now I've got like a 2-finger gap. I expect it to settle just a little bit, and it'll be pretty much exactly where it was before. But before it was like 1 inch higher, and I had to lower it about a little over 1/2 inch to get it back to this state. Same on this side. I'm not exactly sure how low you can go. This is low enough for me. I mean, if it doesn't settle anymore, I might go a little bit lower, but I'm gonna give it a drive first. Obviously finish the back half before I move on, so yeah. All right, now that we're done with the front, we're gonna work on the back. As you can see, I have Maxpeedingrods already. All you need to do back here is take out this one bolt down here on the control arm. And then there are 2 bolts right here under this cover. Pretty easy to get to, super easy to get to actually. And this thing should fall right out of here. It's possible you might have to drop your lower control arm if your shocks are too long. I don't think that's gonna be the case for me. I think mine's gonna come out, but I'll let you guys know. Pretty much just like the front, these ones are gonna be a 17, single 17 on the bottom, and then 14s on the top. Oh shit, hit it with my hand and it flew out to the other side of the garage, so. Perfect set. To get this guy out here, it's really close for me. I'm just gonna push down on the drum, and then I have it kind of slipped over. I don't know if you can see that. Have it slipped over the control arm, and then it's really close to coming out on the top, like you can see. So I'm just gonna push it down through, just like that, and voila. So when comparing to the new one, I've made it just like a little over 1/2 inch shorter again, and hopefully that'll give me about the same ride height. I'm hoping that the front is similar to the back in that fact, and it should be ready to go in now. These are not directional, by the way, if you're following along. symmetrical across both sides for both the front and the back. Obviously the front is not the same as the back. You'll be able to tell. Okay, not too bad. Okay, this is gonna be the fun part. Especially by yourself, you're gonna have to kind of lift up your suspension so it mounts, so it fits properly. You can see the control arm's a little bit lower, so I'm gonna lift it up with my knees and slide that bolt in. I have washers that they provided on either side of this. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Just gonna snug this one up and switch to the other side. This was live, this was one take. Self-explanatory, you just bring her down onto the bottom collar. Once it's tight, and you're good to go. All right, as you can see, car's back on the ground. Did a pretty good job at mimicking what I had before. I did like half an inch lower, I mean, in total shock height on the back, and it seems to be exactly where I wanted it. There's like a 2-finger gap on both the back and the front. I think it looks really good. I'm hoping it'll settle just a little bit. Otherwise, I mean, I'm hoping it goes down like another 1/4 inch or so, but it's not too bad. I'm gonna clean up. This is the aftermath of everything. I'm gonna clean up, put everything back together, and take it for a test drive. From what I can tell initially, just driving it into this parking lot, it seems to be better. Seems to be less bouncy, I would say. So what I was hoping with the stiffer springs is correct. Depending on how the actual drive goes, we'll see. I might actually turn the stiffness down a little bit, but we'll see. Like I said, I'm kind of like being very conscious about all the sounds I hear now. I went around and checked everything, so all of the hardware on the coilover sort of been touched by me at this point. It looks like this side might be a little bit higher than all the other sides. Yeah, we got a hard 2-inch gap there, and then we got, yeah, we're much closer on this side. Okay, yeah, let's take it for a drive. Smells pretty good. Definitely stiffer. I would be bouncing a little bit more before. Yeah, it feels good. Have to hit some more turns to really feel how it feels. We'll have to see once I get on track. I'm going to fall bash at PPIR here in a few weeks, so I'm really going to be able to see. And I've driven the old coilovers on the track, on the same exact track, so I'll be able to see these on the track. Yeah, so I would definitely recommend these if I were to go back when I purchased the original ones. I'm not sure if the T7s were even out yet, but I would definitely have purchased the T7s because of the different spring rates and the better shocks. You can definitely tell it's definitely stiffer than it was. That is 100%. It's definitely less bouncy. That was my biggest complaint with the other ones, with the other coilovers, is that they were a little bit bouncy when going over bumps. They were kind of stiff, but like the springs were definitely too soft, you could tell. These ones are perfect. I don't feel the bounciness like I did before. They feel more like any other car with coilovers that I would expect. And yeah, I'm also excited about going lower if that's possible. I've already settled a little bit in the front, as you can see. I think this side's just a little bit taller than this side, but I really like how it looks here. See, it's like a 2-finger gap. I don't know. That's what I'm going for. The back looks pretty good too. Off camera, I might adjust this passenger side over here because it is just a little bit taller. By just a little bit, I mean like less than 1/4 of an inch. Maybe I did the preload wrong or something. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Found something helpful about it. There's not a whole lot of EF content, especially specifically on these T7s. Yeah, I would definitely choose T7s on an EF chassis, even though they're not they're not even explicitly supported. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I will see you in the next one.